Hi guys, this is Crystal. Let's look at Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 through 9 together. The first mistake that Abraham has made. I know what you're thinking, but let's go through the passage together. To explore Abraham's first mistake, we need to understand the two conflicts in this passage. Let's look at the first one. God commanded Abraham to go from his country, his people, and his father's household. Many other verses in Genesis has told us the definition of the father's household. For example, in chapter 24, verse 4, it reads, "But will go to my country and my own relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac." So it's very clear. The father's household means relatives. Abraham obeyed in verse 4, as the Lord had told him. But Lot went with him. Wait a minute, who is Lot? In case you missed it in the last chapter, in verse 5, it tells us Lot is Abraham's nephew, and Abraham took his nephew with him. Therefore, we can see Abraham did not fully obey God's command. This is the first conflict in this passage. God asked Abraham to leave his relatives, but Abraham took his nephew Lot with him. The question is, why did Abraham take Lot with him? And we have to talk about the second conflict in order to answer that question. There are promises with Abraham's leaving, and the first one is, in verse 2, I will make you into a great nation. What does a great nation mean? Again, many other verses in Genesis has explained the definition of a great nation. For example, in Genesis chapter 13, verse 16, it reads, I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. A great nation means numerous descendants or offspring. But that's an obstacle to fulfill that promise. As in previous chapter, verse 30, we know Sarah is a barren woman. She had no child, and she was not able to conceive. How can a barren woman produce offspring for Abraham? Maybe that was a question in Abraham's mind as well. That could be one of the motivations he took Lot with him. Since Sarah's barren, Lot is Abraham's only relative. Probably he thought that the promise would be fulfilled through Lot. And also, leave your relatives is not an easy command for Abraham. As in previous chapter, we can see Abraham's father has 3 sons, but one of them died, as in verse 28. Haran is Lot's father. Interestingly, when Abraham's father decided to journey to Canaan, he only took his one son, Abraham, Abraham's wife, Sarah, and his grandson, Lot. Because Lot's father has died, possibly Terah took Lot as his son to comfort the loss of Haran. They did not reach Canaan, instead they settled in Haran. After Abraham's father died, only Abraham, his wife, and Lot left. So when God says, leave your relatives, how can he leave Lot alone? They settled together in Haran for so many years. And especially, Sarah is barren. Lot probably is the only hope for him to make a great nation. So the first task God gave it to Abraham. It's a very tough one, and Abraham only obeyed halfway. Therefore, the second conflict in this passage is when God blessed Abraham, saying he will be a great nation. Sarah is barren. Wait, was it a good choice for Abraham to bring Lot with him? We will explore that question in the next chapter.